Multi-generational living is really growing across the country. My name is Lee Johnson, and I help families relocate from all over the country to the Space Coast of Florida. And I use my YouTube channel to teach you all about this area so that you can make the decision whether this is the right place for you before you ever step foot in the state. Part of that is teaching you about multi-generational living, and I am proof that it actually can work. Although there are definitely some lessons to be learned along the way that if you think through them first would be a much easier process. And because of that, I've made a 3-part series. This is part 3. So you can find the other 2 parts down below in my description, and you can find them on my channel. So please feel free to go watch those as well. But this video in particular is about after. We've been living together for about 3.5 months now. I want you to see our home and see how we made the decisions, what it's like to live together and why it's working for us and the real advantages. Now, why do you care about multi-gen living? Well, it is growing by leaps and bounds. 3 years ago, it was about 11% of the entire real estate market was for homes with multi-gen families. The next year it was 14%, and then the following year, just last year, was 17%. And you know, percentages are a little strange. It doesn't sound like all that much. Well, I tell you that 17% of all homes equals about 680,000 homes have been designed and owned with the specific purpose of having multi-gen living. So why are people doing this? Well, there's a whole lot of reasons. Number one, shared expenses are a really nice thing. It really lowers how much it costs you to live in a beautiful home, maybe more than you could have afforded on your own. Number two, and where it really fits in for me, is we brought my folks down here to live with us. And the peace of mind I have to have my mom and dad, who are 88 and 90 years of age, in our home is a real advantage for me. I just feel so much better knowing that they're being watched and taken care of on a daily basis, not every week or so like my daughter and my niece were doing, and they were wonderful, but it's a lot to ask of a younger generation. So having my folks living with us is a great thing. Number 3, of course, is the safety factor. You buy a multi-gen home knowing that probably there are going to be some elderly folks in it, so grab bars, wider hallways, fewer things in the way so that tripping and falling becomes a much lower chance than you might find in a more crowded, comfy home. So with this massive growth that's happened, of course, builders are responding, and you're seeing more and more builders that have made accommodations for a multi-gen type of home. There are builders like Hovnanian and Lennar who have homes that are called next-gen homes or multi-gen homes that have entire suites dedicated to one generation while the other generations gets the rest of the house, or however you decide to do it up. We decided to buy a Lennar home in a 55-plus community because to me it was the perfect combination of not just having our own space separate and yet together with my parents, but also it gave us ready-made friends, activities and things to do for my parents who weren't going to go out and meet a lot of people otherwise. And now they already have friends in our neighborhood and they really enjoy the amenity center that I'll show you in a little bit. But not only are there builders like Hovnanian and Lennar, but there are also other builders who simply are adapting a lot of their floor plans to make it very possible to utilize as a multi-gen home. Maybe the guest bedrooms are a little bit more separated from the rest of the house. So if you want to take a 2-bed single bath area and turn it into a bedroom, bathroom, living area, or something of that nature, it's really a very doable thing. So utilizing a realtor who's very familiar with multi-gen homes, I can show you a lot of builders that have a variety of options. And there are some builders that you wouldn't even know do multi-gen homes that when you ask the right questions, out comes the blueprints and the potential floor plans and the options that you can be presented and make decisions that really work well for your family and your generations of people that you decide to live with. Of course, I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what your thought process is, why you're thinking about doing this, and what your stumbling blocks are. And let me see if I can help you, or if we can at least start a conversation so maybe somebody else chimes in and finds a really great way that might work for you. Having my parents close by, as I said earlier, was really a relief to me. Although my daughter and my niece did stop by and see Grandma and Grandpa pretty often, there's nothing like being there every single day. And sure enough, we've already had 2 different scares that the girls would not have been there for. And not because they aren't responsible, but just because they're not there every single day like we are now. And sure enough, within just a few weeks of moving in, things were still a little bit cluttered. And all of a sudden I heard a noise. I heard my mom gasp. And there she was on the floor, blood on the floor, and the ambulance came rushing over. It turned out she was fine, thank goodness. They weren't able to put stitches in her head, but she had quite the bump and bruise on her head, and was a bit woozy for a few days. But because I was there, I was able to help manage what was happening, make the right decisions, get the ambulance immediately, whereas I'm not sure that my dad would have done that. So it was a good thing, and I really felt good about it. Then later on, my dad, not nearly as big a deal, but he got some really good scrapes and things like that as well. And it wouldn't have been taken care of had they been alone. As a matter of fact, the conversation went something like, "Oh, it's no big deal, I'm fine." Well, actually, he needed stitches. So it was a good thing that I insisted that we go see a doctor and make sure that he was going to be okay. But those are just 2 examples of why this was definitely the right decision for us. The other really big example for me was that at 88 and 90, I was no longer comfortable having them driving. And as long as they were living in their own home by themselves, it was not going to change. They would never have been able to give up that independence because they did not live in an area where it was walkable or doable to not have a vehicle. But now I run the errands. My husband is a fabulous support. And of course, thanks to COVID, we have grocery deliveries and things like that. And living in a 55 plus community for us is a huge plus because they have a lot of activities right here in our development that otherwise they would have had to go out to go see a movie or go out to get some exercise or go to a pool or something like that. And now, thanks to the golf cart they've purchased, it's a 3-minute little golf cart drive, and here they are at the amenity center to go have fun and see people. While overall I would say it's been a very positive thing, let me tell you, we haven't lived together for probably close to 43 years before we moved in together here. And as a matter of fact, as soon as I graduated for college, I was out. I was gone, out of town, never looked back again. So I have not even lived in the same town as my parents in 43 years. And that's a long time. You think you really know each other, you think everything will be fine, but getting used to somebody else's habits, whether it's a spouse or a significant other or your parents, it's an adjustment. So having lots of good conversations in advance, talking about who gets what space and how that's going to work and how the expenses are going to be split up. This one, I strongly recommend that you discuss before you're ever getting together. Because if you think you both understand, but you didn't say it outright or didn't write it down, and then you start living together and one person goes, "Wait just a minute, I never agreed to this," that's a tough one. So doing that discussion before, knowing how you're going to split up expenses, who's going to pay for what, how you're going to take care of the errands and keeping the house clean and all those other things. Those are important things to have figured out in advance. And then there's things like furniture. Now, while we have our own suite, we chose the smaller part of the house because, of course, my husband and I both still work full time, whereas my parents are there all the time. So they got the larger part of the house. We took the suite with the understanding that we would still use the living area and the kitchen quite often, pretty much daily. But they have the ability to use that area and feel very comfortable knowing that they're not in the way or anything like that because it's theirs. So we made some accommodations really quickly. And we also made sure that the furniture didn't just fit, but it wasn't crowded. So I never had to worry about them having to skirt around things. It was an open flow plan to be able to go sit on the couch or sit at the kitchen table or cook in the kitchen. And we made sure, of course, that the house that we purchased had good flow with wide hallways and wide open areas. So that was not going to be a problem. And then for us, that was important too. While I love my folks very much and I wanted to make sure that they were well cared for, we moved from Indiana with 2,800 square feet to Florida with 1,500 square feet to this home with just a little over 800 square feet. So it was a real adjustment for us too. And I'm still finding things that I shoved in corners because I couldn't find any place else to put them. And adjustments came not just for my folks, but for us as well. And as I said, we chose the smaller part of the house. It's a really great area. Let me show you around real quick. It has its own separate doorway, which we have chosen not to use because we're really close with my folks and I don't have a problem using the same door. This area right here was supposed to be the washer dryer area, but we've taken out the washer dryer and we're going to build in shelves for extra storage. We have a lovely kitchenette with a sink, refrigerator, dishwasher, countertop space for a cooktop or a microwave oven. So it's a nice little kitchenette with a seating area for us to be able to grab breakfast together, have coffee together, and then a really nice living area as well. Then we have a master bathroom and our own bedroom area with a nice large closet. And then for me, I was worried that wouldn't quite be enough space. So we did one addition that, of course, we did after we moved in, but I did tell the contractor at Lennar about what we had planned, and he loves the idea. So you never know, you may see this in a future floor plan. This little area right here was supposed to be a linen closet, which was not deep at all and really kind of silly in my opinion. And there were 2 guest bedrooms on the other side of it. Well, I stole one. Basically, we blew out this doorway. Look, it's now this really neat open doorway area. And this is my office and my closet. So my husband and I have our own separate closets and I have my own office. So I have some place to work when I need to be home for the day in case my husband has things that he needs to be able to go do. And mom and dad need a little bit more attention or errands need to be run that day. Then mom and dad got this huge kitchen, nice big living area, and their own master bathroom with his and her closets, big shower with just a straight walk-in, no steps, no nothing, and its own little bathroom, toilet area that was separated, which was important for their privacy for them. And then last but not least is the patios. While we do have a small patio up front, which my husband and I often use for coffee when it's warm outside, but the back patio is just fabulous. We chose to wait to build and have a house that's right on a big pond. And we love to sit out here, my dad especially, and watch the wildlife, enjoy the breeze, and really enjoy what living in Florida really means with the beautiful sunshine and everything else that entails. So the house really does work well for us, but it was definitely something that we thought through carefully, and I highly recommend that you think about how a house is going to function when you're thinking about how it's going to work for whomever you're choosing to live with. As I said before, moving into a 55 plus community really has been a wonderful addition to not just the house, but to the area. We've made friends nearly immediately. We get together with our next door neighbors fairly often. And then the amenity center and the pool area is literally a quick walk or golf cart ride, as the case may be, from our house over here. And it just has some great things. There's this huge pool with a bar area for cocktail parties or get-togethers. There's a hot tub. Then there's the exercise room with a little area off to the side to be able to do classes for yoga or silver sneakers classes or anything of that nature. We also have a movie theater in this building, and there's also a space for coffee and donuts in the morning, which they do on a weekly basis, and I think that will grow as more and more residents are living here. Right now, this neighborhood is designed to have about 850 houses, and we're about halfway there right now. So while we are thrilled to already have the amenity center. I expect there will be more and more things to do and more people being involved in that as the number of people move into this development as well. Multi-generational living is not for everyone, and it's definitely something you want to seriously think through from an economical standpoint, a realistic standpoint on whether you can stand to be together all the time, who runs the errands, who gets the groceries, and all those things are important to take into account before you ever actually do it. But let me tell you, it can be a real godsend for the exact same reasons. It is way cheaper to live together. It's a real blessing to have my folks at this age so close to me and reconnect with them. And then the advantages that we've chosen to add with the 55 plus community, I highly recommend. It's a wonderful addition. If you're considering this kind of arrangement, I hope you'll think about either putting a comment down below or giving me a call. Ask me questions all day long. I don't care whether you hire me or not. I would love to be a resource for you. Because it does take a lot, and I can tell you about different builders that are available and so much more. But if this is something of interest to you, don't hesitate to give me a call. Watch my other videos, and I hope to see you down here in the Space Coast really soon. I'm Lee Johnson with Brownfield Real Estate Group, and I cannot wait to help you find your next perfect home.